Once again, we see students, activists, and massive crowds of people from all walks of life take to the streets to protest against an increasingly authoritative government. This seems like a pattern followed by people who feel like their rights are being infringed upon. This time, it's happening in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, one of the richest cities of China, has seen a wave of protest by the people against a problematic extradition bill. This controversial bill would amend current legislation to allow China to extradite Hong Kong residents to the Chinese mainland to be tried for some offences. Before we get into details about the bill and the protests, let's get some background info. Hong Kong is a special administrative region of China with over 7.4 million people of various nationalities. Hong Kong is the world's fourth most densely populated region. Historically, Hong Kong was a former British colony which was handed back to China in 1997 following an agreement between Britain and China. The agreement was signed under the principle of one country, two systems, which meant that Hong Kong will be under the administration of China but will enjoy a high degree of autonomy except in foreign and defense affairs for 50 years. Therefore, unlike the mainland of China, which is ruled under the authoritative communist regime, Hong Kong is governed by a chief executive following the Basic Law, mini-regional constitution. As a result, Hong Kong has its own legal system and rights including freedom of assembly and free speech, which are protected. However, from 2014 onwards, the people of Hong Kong began to ask for a cleaner autonomy without China's sword hanging upon their heads. They pride themselves on being a more tolerant society as compared to the mainlands. But when it became visible that the politics of China began to seep into that of Hong Kong's, the people began a grassroots movement to demand for fully autonomous democratic state. On June 16th, nearly 2 million people clothed in black and carrying white flowers as a symbol of mourning took to the streets in protest against the proposed changes to extradition law. The law that was supposed to be passed by the chief executive, Carrie Lam, was yet another action that made her pro-Beijing stance very clear. The law made it possible for China to extradite people from Hong Kong and try them in judicial proceedings. However, it became controversial because China's judiciary is not independent of its politics. If the bill is passed, it would fundamentally alter the judicial independence of Hong Kong and signal the beginning of the end of the one country, two systems model. Therefore, if this bill becomes legislation, then anyone who goes against the Chinese government by dissenting could also be extradited and unfairly punished by the Chinese government.
For more such videos, please subscribe to India Echo.